I'm more than pleased to be the host today, along with my colleague Michael, to present you how Omnex Systems has been able to revolutionize the auditing procedures, let's say, across different companies. And it's very important for you to understand the fact that we don't act with small customers only, for example, which are limited, for example, to a single type of audit, like process audits, like product audits. No, we are currently working with many customers which implemented already our software into more than 560 sites, for example, for one customer, just to give you some names. Other customers, we have medium customers as well, and also small customers. So we serve all type of large, small, or medium customers as well. Today, the plan, I'll share with you my screen in the meantime. Today, the plan would be for us, 1 second, to understand which are the drivers for AI in audits, right? So that is one of the topics that we plan to discuss today. We have almost an hour to discuss. We also have in discussion AI audit use case. So I'm going to run through some PowerPoint presentations at the very beginning. And then after that, I'll go into the software and show you exactly what I meant from the PowerPoint presentation, so you can connect the dots. And last but not least, we have the benefits of AI in audits. So that is on the first part of the webinar today. Connected with Audit Pro, we also have a problem solver, meaning we have to respond to audits, right? Once we conduct audits, we have to respond to audits, whether we respond through a PDCA, Plan to Check Act, as an auditee, or through an AD. We also have to respond to non-conformities. Therefore, I'll combine both of them, and you will see how AI has been developed in both audit and problem-solving tools. So if I may, I'd like to just mention 5 drivers of AI in audits. These are just few. Disruptive changes in different industries. That's one of the drivers. Demanding compliance and regulatory requirements is the second one. And the third one is evolving and proliferation of newer standards. The fourth one is emergence of millennial workforce, right? Nowadays, everyone is using a laptop, a phone, and they are tech savvy, mobile centric, socially networked employees. Now, if you want to know something, you just open a laptop and you'll find it out. Last but not least is virtual teams, right? Nowadays, you have auditors, even being able to conduct audits on the shop floor without even having internet nor paper. But I'll show you how we can achieve that as well with the software. So these are few of the drivers for AI in audits. Having said that, there are a few steps into the auditing perspective, right? Into the auditing methodology. Number one, we'll have to schedule audits. And here we implemented using AI recommendation. What does it mean? It means that when you select and build a schedule for a year, for example, for different type of audits, whether we speak about system or product or process, different standards, the software will recommend you choosing a type of audit that has been identified as kind of a potential failure that can happen in the future because it happened in the past. Additionally, we have AI recommending poor performing processes or areas, right? If we look into an LPA, a layer process audit, then there we have different processes that we do audits for. The same if we do a process audit or a system audit, right? System audit, we've got departments which might have been affected by failures in the past, and we want to take a look on them using AI. So that is possible. While we're performing audits, you will see that the software will provide feedback on your objective evidences, on you selecting different clauses. And if that's okay, then the system will mention the feedback as positive. And if the system identifies the fact that it's not the best match, then the system is going to ask you, this is my feedback, and also these are the options. You choose from here. Okay. Then we have AI performing while performing the audit, AI in NC findings and validation suggestions. Here, it's the area of where also we plug in the problem solving, right? When we identify non-conformities, whether we speak about minors or majors, we here plug in the PDCA or ADs or corrective action reports. And last but not least, AI root cause and action plan validation suggestion. So that's the entire cycle of the audit, right? I'm sure everyone is familiar with this. Next, what I'm planning to explain is the fact that if I'm going to choose now scheduling audits, LPA, for example, you will see here that I've got multiple operations over there and also multiple processes. Into the next slide. So I selected a layer process audit. I'll select the process based on what AI recommended. And from here, you will see with red that these are the processes which AI recommends. For example, in my case, it's coating, casting, forging, and silver coating as well. Right? So as you can see, AI recommends process based on historical data on the number of NC uploaded. Right? Bad performing processes will be highlighted with AI recommendation, as you saw there. Moving forward, I now scheduled based on AI recommendation. Next, I'll have to perform again based on AI recommendation. So once I'm going to perform the audit, I have the audit number and where is going to happen the audit, in which area, what system, what process. And next, I have the audit details. I'll have to define the agenda. So when I'm going to choose the process again over into the auditing agenda, you can see that the system again recommends which processes should be taken with priority based on previous data. I now have the audit in place. I'm conducting the audit. I'm going to go through all of the checkpoints or checklists, right? We've got a checklist with called IATF, for example. And inside of the IATF checklist, I've got different checkpoints, right? Folder and then the questions. So once I'm going to identify non-conformities, and I'm going to define over here, you can see non-conformity, the process to ensure the evaluation and implementation of the CSR is not fully effective, I will be able to put my objective evidence. And as well, I'm going to be able to populate all the information related to the audit, which clause, what type of non-conformity, who's going to be the responsible. And at the end, based on previous data, I will be able to say validate. And then if based on, again, on previous data, because the system builds data inside of it, the system will recommend with red rectangles over here, you can see that this objective evidence doesn't really match with the non-conformity. So you have a button over there saying, OBAT recommendation. Number one is going to provide the feedback. Number two is going to provide the recommendation. Where we have matching between non-conformity, objective evidence, and all of these items, you will see that also non-conformity category can be highlighted. I'll show you that in the future. So, as you can see over here, our objective evidence didn't match with the non-conformity. So what I did, first I validated the OBAT validation. I use the OBAT validation. And next, I have over here the OBAT recommendation. So this is what is recommending objective evidence, feedback, and the suggestion as well. And again, it is not only for a specific field. It's for all content inside of your audit non-conformity report. Last but not least, I also have the ability to see a summary based on the validation report. Last but not least, again, over here, so I now schedule the audit. I perform the audit, and I'm now acting as an auditee. The auditee, when opens the corrective action report, which is, in my case, this PDCA, he or she will be able to populate all of these fields as correct root cause and also the actions. When the ODT defines the root cause, also has an option over there saying OBAT validate. When it clicks on OBAT validate, it gives these highlights that the red ones, the red boxes, are something to look at. And then they click on the recommendation, AI recommendation, and then they will have the feedback provided by the software. Similarly, it happens for the AD form, right? If it's a major, we can use an AD form. If it's a minor, we can use a PDCA. But if it is an opportunity for improvement, we probably use a corrective action report. So in all areas, in all forms, we have developed this option, right? Again, when I'm going to conduct my audit response to the auditor, I'll have the ability to populate my AD report. I'll validate the AD report with what I populated inside, and then I have the ability to check what suggestions the software has by highlighting different fields, which the software considers mandatory to populate. For example, the team members. As well, the responsibility, due date, and actual date is missing over there. So it highlights that information, right? Again, when it comes to the root cause, this is just a picture from the software when it recommends good or bad root cause description, right? Action one is not an action. It's just information placed there. So the software recognizes that and highlights that information as bad or good. Again, based on previous data, because while you're performing multiple audits, you're going to build data so the software recognizes good and bad data in the future. So that is on a very, very high level what we plan to see into the software today. We have plenty of time that we can go through into the software itself. Next, what I'm planning to show you is going to be into the software itself, as I mentioned to you, the third point over here, which is the demo inside of the software, because I'm sure everyone is eager to see what exactly looks like into the software. So based on these three big areas, let's say scheduling, performing an audit, and responding as an auditee, I'll showcase into the software. Number one, I'll have to log in as a scheduler. Once I'm going to log in as a scheduler, sometimes you might have the rights, let's say, provided by your organization, being as a scheduler, as an auditor, and also as an auditee for your specific area. Therefore, this specific James Martin has all three, just two of the rights, not three of the rights, scheduler and auditor. Scheduler into the software, for those who came for the first time seeing our software, over here into the scheduler area, the scheduler has the ability to schedule different type of audits, whether we speak about LPA, layer process audits, whether we speak about system audits, whether we speak about VDA 6.3 audits, process audits, VDA 6.5 or simple product audits, the scheduler has the ability to create the scheduler over here. So what he or she needs to do, expand this schedule, excuse me, and then click on the LPA scheduler. Obviously, on the background, we did the entire setup of the software to make sure I'll have identified sites so we can conduct audits in multiple sites. It's just going to be one single source of truth where we store all data, but using the software into multiple sites, it is an option with our EwQIMS. Additionally, we can define our own layers. Again, this is part of the setup over here. I just have one. And then time period, I have the ability to select the year, the month, or specific time period that I would create a schedule for. For what year? 2025, 26, 2027, 28, and so on and so forth. Starts from first week you can define the schedule starting from whichever week you would like or the organization requires to. Status, once I'll select the status tentative, for example, because I'm not sure if my auditors and auditees are available for these audits, which I'm going to build over here. I'll leave this status tentative, so they'll get notifications saying, are you available for that specific audit? Both auditor and auditees, and they will say yes, no. If no, then the scheduler receives an email because we have incorporated email notifications saying the auditor or the auditee is not available. Please reschedule. Then LPA schedule for all departments or the workstations. Again, I can define the area, like department area assembly cell, or the workstation itself, depending on what the organization wants. You will see that the software, it's very, very flexible and doesn't require too much coding to modify a few things into the software. Again, continuing scheduling, I can filter by all audits. I can do ad hoc audits. Imagine you are the CEO or you are a C-level executive that would like to conduct a health and safety audit just in time. Now, you can do an ad hoc audit over there, and you can conduct your own audit. Obviously, you can save your own templates, but the most important part, which is now related to AI, is this OBAT recommendation. As you can see over there, I've got department, and if I'm going to select my workstation, I'll be able to pick my workstations from the left-hand side over there. So when I'm going to click on OBAT recommendation, the system is going to highlight me which department or workstations have recommendations, because in the past, there were identified some failures. So I'm going to click over here, and next is also pointing me out which are the checkpoints or what shall I check for that specific workstation or department related to that specific checklist. Are there examples, guidelines, pictures as reference, how clean or organized the area should be? And then you can choose from these checkpoints what you plan to conduct the audit for. And then simply click on OK, on done. That's it. Right? So this is the area where the AI comes in to help of the scheduler, saying, based on previous failures, the auditors should conduct the areas to Chevy upgrade or MS upgrade, right? So that is the, as I mentioned to you, the area of scheduling. If somebody is not available, whether we speak about the auditor or the auditee, or even the scheduler cannot schedule on time, then they can reschedule, as I mentioned to you, or create ad hoc audits directly over here. If by mistake has been created an audit, we can cancel audits directly over here. So we try to make the user experience much easier, and we try to incorporate everything in one page as well. If I connect now the dots with other modules, you see I've got all of the information on the left-hand side. But that's not our main area, let's say. So this is for LPA. Audit schedule, when it comes to system audits, exactly the same. I have the ability to create a new one, and I have the ability to define IATF or ISO 13485 or ISO 9001 from this option. Just click on new, and I will be able to create a new audit schedule from here. Okay. Next step, I have the ability to see the audits based on the month view, so monthly view. I have the ability to look into my audit calendar, for example. I have the ability to see all of the audit status as a scheduler, right? So me as a scheduler, I have multiple options right from the very first page over here into the Audit Pro module. You can see over here that I've got multiple audits, so I can pick and do my audits based on my calendar, right? And I can filter it based on the week, the month, and the year. Multiple options. And again, as I mentioned to you, everything is in one page. The status, the calendar, the ability to install filter, the ability to see the audits that I have planned, me as a user, as an auditor, for Fincher Evans, for example, and you can see all of them over here. Right. So we have seen how AI comes in supporting the scheduler while they schedule the audits. The next step is I have now my schedule, right, defined, and I'm acting as an auditor. So I'll have to perform audits, right? I'll simply click on schedule audits, excuse me, on auditor, and then perform audits over there. And then over here, I'll have the list of audits which I can perform based on the schedule, right? So as you can see, I've got June, May, and so on and so forth. In some of the audits, you will see, so I'm going to test both good data and what's the response of the software. And I'm going to test bad data to see some of the visualizations over there, right? So let me just pick the third one, for example. When I'm going to click on expanding this audit, I'd like to know more information about the audit, right? Number one, the audit standard, the process, or the process is external agent, if it's a body of certification, start date, end date. As well, audit report, PDCA, approach, because I can define that into the software. What approach I will define into the setup part for specific standards. So I'm going to click on this hyperlink over here. And once I'm going to click on the hyperlink, it's going to show up the audit details, right? Because I'm acting now as an auditor. So I'm conducting this audit. What's the numbers? 232. Again, I've got the audit details information, the site internal, the audited, the corporate, the audit standards, IATF 6949. When it starts, when it finishes, who's the lead auditor? It's myself, James Martin over there. Who's the auditee contact person? Steve Edward, right? Co-auditor, I can add co-auditors as well. So I can certify the co-auditors as becoming as lead auditors, right? Using my software, because I can track who was part of which audit, and I can have the auditor certification as well added into the software. Corrective action approach, again, this is a setup that's done. Shift details, when it starts, when it finishes, right? I have the ability to add directly over here the non-conformities, but I also have the ability to go and conduct my audit based on the checklist, right? Because I need to go, when I do an audit, for example, for quality based on IATF, I'll have to look into the first, let's say, KPIs, what KPIs quality has. So, and then I'm going to ask questions related to KPIs from IATF standard. That's going to be the form that's going to send me to these questions. So now let's say I identified a nonconformity. Let's say this one, right? I conducted my audit and I identified a nonconformity for clause number 4, context of the organization. So I'm going to go and click on this nonconformity. As you can see over here, I have the ability to raise an NC, right? Let me just move this back. I have the ability to upload a new NC. Like currently I've got this data over here. So what do I have to do? When I'm going to conduct an audit and I find a nonconformity, first of all, I have to put the problem description, right? What's the nonconformity? Problem solving not fully effective, right? What's the objective evidence? FMEA and control plan for product PXYZ. I did this on purpose to show you that something is wrong. And I'm going to use my OBAT to validate that something is wrong. That's why on purpose we left FMEA and control plan for product PXYZ is there. Doesn't really make sense because it's not really connected with the problem solving, but we'll see how the software reacts. As well for clause is selected properly. Non-conformity category, we have major. We also have the ability to put minor, right? Minor or major, depending on what's the non-conformity for. Responsibility, who's going to be the responsible user, the champion, let's say for this. Requested by myself, James Martin. Failure category, I have the ability to define the failure category, whether it is quality, whether it is logistics, whether it is I don't know, product feature or fit and function. I can do that. Department, where that has been generated. The process itself, where into the process has been generated. I'll populate all these informations, and you can see some mandatory items or areas like NC category, responsibility, and which ones are not with asterisks. That means these fields are not mandatory. So I populated the entire nonconformity form over here. So next, what I'll have to do is act and check my NC if I define all the fields correctly. Now, based on the information that has been inputted in the past into the software, it shows me this is a problem, and also that's a problem. Other than that, it's all good. So if I'm going to choose this NC category, let's say, problem solving not fully effective. It's not really a major, it's more of a minor, right? So because I trained the software in identifying problem solving not fully effective in the past was a minor and a minor again. And now I realize this has been identified as a major. Then when I select OBAT recommendation, the software is going to say number one, category, major. Feedback, the recommended category is a minor, it's not a major. Okay, suggestion, you can put a minor. Also, like any other AI engine, it's not 1000% accurate. So it's also saying over here, this content generated by AI and may not always be accurate. Please verifying any critical information independently. But based on the previous data, the software is recommending, providing feedback, and suggesting what should be the change. Last but not least, I'll put minor over there, and you can see it gives me the ability to say change, right? This is, let's say, bad data. We call it bad data because when we test it, it needs to show red or maybe green. Let's see how it looks. The good data. So if I'm going to select the second one, I'll check myself now for each individual nonconformity that I define. Let's say the process of training effectiveness evaluation period is fully effective. Then I define the clear objective evidence. When I'm going to click on OBAT validate, is it this good data or bad data? So you can see the software providing feedback. All data are consistent. And again, I'm going to do it for the third nonconformity right identified over here. The quality management process for process control is not fully effective. Objective evidence, the specification for welding stated, you see, it's a detailed objective evidence. And also the clause highlighted over here. Let's try this one as well. Again, all data is consistent. And last, let me just pick the last nonconformity that I raised. And again, nonconformity, last but not least, OBAT validate. Again, all data is consistent. So the only area that I have to act is going to be on this NC number one, right? The problem solving not effective. When I'm going to click on OBAT validate, it's going to show up these two, right? So I'll have to change that. Okay. That is how us as an auditor, we benefit from the AI into the Audit Pro software. Obviously, there are multiple other icons over here. Reorder findings, so you can reorder them based on your identification. You can search for nonconformity for the clause for multiple options over here. And then also you can add the agenda directly into the screen that's available now. You can edit audit records. You can see the audit status, and also you can go to the audit report. Last but not least, you can ask for submission extension time and also see the history, okay? And also see or view previous corrective action reports. Now, if I may, I'll stop sharing for a second. What I'd like to look is who's going to be the auditee It's going to be Steve. So I'll have to log out now. Share back with you my screen. I will have to log out as an auditor because James Martin doesn't have the ability to act as an auditee. And then I'll get back to the auditor once I finish with the auditee. So next thing, I'll have to log in as Steve. Once I logged in, I have, again, on the left-hand side, all of the related icons. And then over here, you can see I'm not scheduler anymore, and I'm not the auditor anymore. I'm just an auditee. So then I'm going to expand auditee. I'll have the ability to define the code, to check the cause, subcause, but also check my corrective actions. So when I click on corrective actions, it shows me all of the audit non-conformities reported by different auditors. So if I'm going to look after that specific audit number, let me just, sorry, I have to stop sharing again to just look after the 231, the audit number. 1 second. And I'll share with you my screen. All right. Let me just start from the beginning. So I have a list of audits, right? The audit agenda, the audit report that I can see I received from my auditor, audit number, auditee as well, and also audit standards, LPA, for example. Next, what I have to do, I can check for audit number. I have got a specific audit number over here. So this has been performed by James Martin over there, right? As an auditor. Now I'm the auditee. What I can do, again, I'll be able to click on this specific hyperlink, and it's going to take me to the corrective action response. Here, it's either PDCA or AD, depending on how the organization advised Omnex to do the setup, right? So I've got the audit number. I've got the audit non-conformities, non-conformity 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? The ones that the non-conformities reported by the auditor are also available for the auditee over here. So then, what the auditee must do. Number one is going to be to add the reason or the root cause over here, right? Do the 5Y, add the root cause, detection, and occurrence into this cell, right? The actions over here related to that specific root cause. But the nice thing where the software comes in to help along with the AI for the auditee is the fact that, right, I've done my 5 Ys, but is that the right 5Y that I did? And also the conclusion or the root cause. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on OBAT validate. Once I click on OBAT validate, it's going to highlight me, number one, either, is this okay? No color? Yes. Is it a possible, is it there a probability to have something not right or correct? Maybe. Red, is it something wrong? Yes. So I have this recommendation. When I'm going to click on the recommendation, again, it's going to give me that ability, like you have seen in the auditor page, that I have the option to look into the feedback. Number one, recommendation, redefinition as well. As you can see, the cause of occurrence is not consistent with the non-conformance, or the 5Y occurrence related keywords appear in the text, right? And then also, if they got suggestions or they don't have suggestions, it's going to tell you. Sorry, I don't have any recommendations to offer, right? For that. And as well, I saw for something what's wrong. Now I'll see for something that the software is not sure if it's connected to the root cause or not, to the 5Y, excuse me. Because we have found a software version that is suitable and friendly to the current data migration, is that the redefinition, right? Now the feedback, the pair is going to give you the feedback and also the suggestion where it has the suggestion, okay? And as well, excuse me, let me just go back into that specific audit number. Once I've completed my OBAT validation over there, I'll be able to submit the report to the auditor. So here comes for the auditee AI suggesting and also highlighting what's not good and suggesting options for you to replace with, let's say, based on previous information. Okay, and then you can submit it to the auditor. Again, when I'm going to submit it to the auditor will receive an email notification, and also they will be able to close out the audit or, excuse me, reject the action plan that we as auditees provided. Again, I'm going to go to the audits as act as an auditor, and over there, I'll be able to look into corrective action status. Always, whether we speak about auditors, whether we speak about auditees, they will receive notifications for everything. Meaning to say, James Martin conducts an audit for Steve, which is the auditee. Steve receives an email. Once Steve populated the PDCA or the corrective action report and sends it back to the auditor, which is James receives an email, and so on and so forth. Again, when I'm going to look into the audit number 231, for example, is the one that we chose previously. First approved date, you'll see many information about that specific corrective action report, and I'm going to be able to look into the audit number. Similar like I did for the previous audit, and you can see over here, I'm now into corrective actions, right? Previously, it was the page of uploading NCs. Like, okay, I'm acting now as an auditor. Previously, auditor raised NCs. Second step, auditee conducted the PDCA using AI. Auditee submitted the corrective action report or PDCA to the auditor. Auditor has now the ability to check not only the response, but also look into the effectiveness of the or the efficiency of the action plan, and then has the ability, the auditor, to close out the audit, right? As you can see over there, the card number, the close, evidence, and so on and so forth. And then here I've got the corrective action as well. That's on a very, very, let's say, high level, and where the software comes, or the AI comes in to help for both scheduler, auditor, and auditee. Okay. Obviously, there are multiple other options inside of the Audit Pro module, but our scope for today was to understand, while we look into the audit as a globe, let's say, in each area, how we, with the software, can improve, number one, the efficiency of the auditor. Number two, the response in terms of non-conformities when they are identified. Obviously, we don't look after non-conformities while we perform audits, but in most of the cases will happen, right? So with the minutes that we have left, we got left now about 19 minutes. I'd like to also take the opportunity to relate now the problem solving. We've seen the PDCA, but we didn't see how the AD is coming into place. So what I'm going to do, let me just look into AD. I'm going to have this specific number. So I'm still, as an auditee, okay, I'm still acting as an auditee into the audit area. What I would like to see is how the auditor identified a non-conformity major, for example, and they asked for um, an AD report instead of the PDCA, how the ODT has the ability to update or get support from AI into the AD as well, right? Responding with an AD to the auditor. Because there is another area when it comes to problem solving. You can identify, or you can identify non-conform product on the line, or you have customer concerns or internal concerns. Exactly the same. But not in the audit, not during the audit, outside the audit. So approach, it's the AD. We have seen previously PDCA. Now I'm going to click on this non-conformity, which the ODT is required to conduct an AD for, right? Let me just make this bigger and also move my, right. Okay, so what do I have? For a specific non-conformity, right? As you can see over there, the audit details, APQP trial, the clause 10.2.1. So the information comes from the audit description. The team name is going to be the ODT. In my case, is Steve. And then the team members. Me as an ODT, I'll have the ability to populate first all the content over here. Problem description, the team that's going to be part of that investigation. Again, problem description by the ODT, date effective, all the information is related to the action plan over there. And last but not least, I'm going to ask the AI to validate my content that I placed initially. So I'm going to click on the AI validate, and then the software will highlight in red different fields, providing the option of giving suggestions. So for example, into this specific area, let's start from the beginning. Team member. I've got 5 team members over here, but when I'm going to click on suggestion, you will see that the team member department is not identified. What does it mean? It means that these members might not be part of a multidisciplinary team. They are from different departments, but still the software cannot identify which department. So it's going to highlight that information. Additionally, responsibility. So again, we define actions, but who's going to be doing them? It is Friday, 4 p.m. We want to just, I don't know, finish work today, but we forget responsibility. The software will highlight that we forgot the responsibility. So you can see responsibility value is missing, quality alerting process, containment, as well is missing, right? So it also provides suggestions over there. Additionally, the same I'll be able to see for the root cause description. You see it's contribution 0%, which it means is not updated. As well, the responsibility for permanent corrective actions. Initially, we had for the containment actions. Verification date is missing. Again, when I'm going to click on suggestion, the software is going to suggest me that information. The same for responsibility into permanent corrective actions over there. Then last but not least, congratulating the team is nothing over there. So we say always we have to congratulate the team, right? When they do outstanding job, and not only, right? So that is how we interconnect the Audit Pro module with problem-solving tools as well, right? We schedule the audits, we conduct them, and then we identify nonconformities. To the nonconformities, the ODT must reply with an action plan. And here comes the interconnection. PDCA, right? Plan to check act or AD report or L0 different formats, corrective action reports, becomes incorporated into the Audit Pro as audit response. I'll take just one more example, but now from a perspective of the problem solver as an individual module, right? What's the difference between problem solving tool that I have available in Audit Pro and the problem solver module itself is the fact that problem-solving tools in Audit Pro is a connection for findings, right? While problem-solving module as a different module is related to customer concerns, internal concerns, health and safety issues, product issues, all type of issues. So I'm cautious about the time. We also have 13 more minutes. So one second, I'll look into logging in as a problem solver coordinator, or how I like to call them, champion. So one second. So next, what I'm going to do, excuse me, share back with you my screen. And now, as you can see over here, I'm not seeing anymore the Audit Pro, because what I plan to show you is how AI supports different customer or internal concerns from multidisciplinary areas, if you want to call it like this. So I'm now logged in as Belcam. Previously, I've been as Steve or Martin. So what I have to do, I'll have to look into initiate problem solvings, right? So I'm going to look after problem solving. Now, I'll have to look for a specific problem solving number, which is this number. Again, I can look after concern number, title, multiple options over here. Unfortunately, I don't find it, but I'll need to look after the concern number, obviously. And then I have a specific customer concern, let's say, which has been raised today, or it is a quality problem which was raised by production just now. So I have this external link, for example. As you can see now, I have slightly different view when it comes to the problem solving. Why? Because it has to incorporate not the audit findings, but the problem description reported by either customer or Andre from quality department or Michael from manufacturing. So has been identified the category. It is a functional subcategory. It is customer complaint. I'll populate all the informations. I have the ability to add my AD approach over there. Obviously, problem description with customer information, with contact details, processes, and so on and so forth. Status, it is in progress. I have the ability to put my quality alerts as well into this area. How many parts were identified as non-conform? And last but not least, I'll have the ability to look into my AD, right? So I now select my AD. And now, because I have the problem description from the customer or internally from Michael, for example, I have the ability to go through, identify the team, identify the immediate response, define my root cause, or identify the root cause, excuse me, define the actions, whether we speak about detective or preventive actions. And then last but not least, like we did in Audit Pro, because this is the similarity, here is the similarity. Similar like in Audit Pro, we have problem solver. And then I'm going to click on AI validate. Once I click on AI validate, exactly the same behavior in problem solver happens like it was in Audit Pro, because we tried to keep consistency, right? Between different modules, different approaches, let's say, right? So I'll click on the AI validate. And again, as you can see, this might not be right. This definitely is missing, but this might not be right. So what I can do, I can ask for suggestions, right? In any area, everything was highlighted, whether it is in red or yellow, it means something red, not okay. Yellow, something might not be right. Okay, so I'm going to click, for example, again for the actual date. Yeah, I'm going to click on suggestions for this specific area. And as you can see, the software is giving me feedback, right, over here, and also is giving me feedback, for example, in the actual due date over here. it shows me the action description is not right. Responsible member, actual date values are missing. Implement corrective action is inconsistent against root cause. So I guess what I'm trying to conclude is the fact that AI doesn't only come into help for the auditors, also supports other departments in problem solving, whether we speak about quality engineers or process engineers or um, company managers. It helps a lot, suggesting, recommending, and also validating data that's populated into the digitalized version. And with that, I think we're only 8 minutes left. Last but not least, I populated my AD. I verified. I asked my AI to validate, and then I can submit the AD report to the customer or to Michael, which is the manufacturing manager, or to whoever asked me for this AD report. With that, I'd like to thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. I hope you enjoyed the webinar. I'll stop sharing now, and we keep 7 minutes for Q&A. Let me see if there are any questions. Right. Steve, thank you very much for your questions. Number one question, will an OEM be able to receive responses from the first, second, third party suppliers to their NC issue directly into OEM software? Will these suppliers need to purchase this software? I'm trying to understand the question. So correct me if I'm wrong. Your question is, you are the OEM. You have several suppliers and you raise non-conformity during audit or just non-conformities to your suppliers. Are they able to receive notifications? If that's the question, then the answer is yes. The only mention that I have to make is whoever needs to respond to your non-conformities, let's say, or to your call to action, will have to have access into the software. Okay. Can the owner create their own audits based on business interests rather than just standards? Of course. Is the system supplied with all clauses inputted into the database? Yes. So here is kind of a two-way, one question, but it's kind of two questions. Let me just try to answer them both. Number one, you can import your own questions. You can define your own questions. That here comes where I mentioned to you about the flexibility of the software. We have the ability to import Excel with your own questions into the software. You can define your own standards if you want. And also, if you have, if you require, for example, IATF ISO 9001 and 13485 into the software, we can provide you that without any problem. Additionally, if you have LPA checklists and you want to import them, we can do that from Excel. Last but not least, if you want to define your own specific questions, right, specifically for your area, we can do that into the software. Okay. It's called checklists and checkpoints. And there are only 2 questions. If there are no other questions, I can show you that into the software. Thank you, Steve. So we also have 5 more minutes. I'd like to show you that. Okay, into the software. So bear with me 1 second. I'll go into the software and show you that capability directly over here. All right, so share with you my screen. In a second, you will be able to see my screen. Right, okay, so when I'm going to go into the audit setup, I didn't insist too much on the setup part of it, but just to answer clearly to your question, number one, you can define your own standards over here, right? You can define your own standards. We can bring from our side the standards. By the way, we're not only a software provider, guys. We have all the team members, both having methodology experience and also software experience nowadays. Okay, so we can bring your own standards. We can bring the standards that you need. We can define the checklists themselves over here, you see, with the questions. Checklist is kind of a folder with multiple questions. We can import your own, or we can define a new checkpoint by ourselves. Just this is what I did now. I create now a checkpoint, like a question here, and then define my own specific requirements. Is a veto question? Is it are mandatory? Are remarks mandatory for NCs? Multiple options over there. I hope I answered your questions. Okay. We're 3 minutes away from our time for today. I'll wait a few more seconds for any other questions. Yes, can do. Yeah, if any question about the supplier access, can the OEM give access? Yes, you can give access. Yes, you just have to define again into the setup what's going to be the username and the user password, and then you provide that to the suppliers, of course. Okay. No, as long as you give them the username and the password. So how does it work? Let's say you are the OEM and you want to go with the software. You're going to get, we work on concurrent licenses, right? And you say, I'd like to purchase 50 concurrent licenses. 25 used internally, 25 used by your suppliers. You can give these 25 to your suppliers, still owned by you, but the access to the software, you can create 25 users, for example, 25 suppliers or 50. It's up to you. I'm very glad you had questions. Thank you again for the questions, Steve Mott. And with that, I think we came to an end. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you. Michael, do you want to add anything at the end?
No, just great job taking us through that and showing the connections and the interconnections among those modules and being able to see what 8D can do. And nice job, and thanks everyone for coming today. And thanks for the questions. Yes.
Thank you. It is a pleasure to present always, along with my colleague Michael. Thank you, Michael.
I just listened in, so well done.
I know, but you've been support there. I know that. Thank you very much, team. Thank you. Appreciate it. Have a good rest of the day. Bye for now.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.